Hello, and welcome to BelPres Kids Worship. I'm Mrs. Lisa, and I'm so glad you're here. Some of you know that I keep a heart inside my Bible. Whenever I see it, it reminds me that the Bible is about God's love. And the biggest way God showed us his love is when he sent Jesus. Jesus healed broken bodies and mended broken hearts. Jesus had a message for all people. So one day, he climbed up a hillside and began to teach. We call this the Sermon on the Mount, and some people say that Jesus talked about an upside-down kind of world where the poor and downhearted are blessed, we don't need to worry, and enemies are loved. Jesus invites us to be part of this world when we follow him. In fact, this heart is for you. We start with 8 statements called the Beatitudes that talk about certain people who are blessed. It's surprising who Jesus talks about. He says that blessed are the people who are poor in spirit, who are sad, or who realize that they need God. Jesus also taught us what it looks like to be his followers. In fact, he said we should be the salt and light to the world. We'll learn more about that as we look more closely at the Sermon on the Mount. Did you know that in this sermon, Jesus reminds us that we should forgive our enemies and even pray for people who hurt us? Oh, that's really hard to do. I want to learn more. We can talk about this and ask questions when we learn about following Jesus as our leader. Finally, Jesus taught us that we don't need to worry. He created this whole world and each of us, and he promises to be with us always. Join us each week of this special series called The Heart of Jesus. We can just imagine that we're on that mountainside, listening to and learning from Jesus.
In my wrestling and in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. In the silence, you won't let go. In the questions, your truth will hold. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. Safe to shore. I won't fear what tomorrow brings. With each morning I'll rise and sing. My God's love will lead me through.
Mom? Mom?
Brody, I'm right here.
I was so worried. I couldn't see you and I thought I was all alone.
I could still see you and I was looking out for you. You know how much I love you. Do you know, sometimes I can feel worried too. We all feel worried sometimes. When I feel worried and alone, I remember that God loves us so much and He cares about us and is always with us. Do you see those tiny birds? It's easy to think that those little birds aren't important, but Jesus told us that God cares about every single one of those birds. Jesus said God cares enough about each of those birds to make sure they have food every day, and they don't even have to worry.
If God cares about the little birds, He must care about me too, right?
Absolutely. God loves us so much. And even when we are really worried, we trust that God cares about us and He helps us. Come on, we've been here a while. Let's go home now. I have an experiment we can do together to learn more about this. We're going to make elephant toothpaste.
What? Really?
Actually, it's just called that. It's not really toothpaste.
Okay, how do we do it?
All right, so we are going to put a half cup of hydrogen peroxide into this empty water bottle. Perfect. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of food coloring to make it look bright. Good. All right, next, we're going to add some dish soap. Now, swirl it all together to mix. Great.
This is looking good.
Next, I have some warm water and some yeast. We're going to add the yeast to the warm water. This is where it gets exciting. Let's put our safety goggles on. Now we're going to add the yeast water into the water bottle.
Whoa! How did it do that?
When the ingredients mix together, they release their water and their oxygen. The soap makes the bubbles, so it looks like it all expands.
That's so cool!
This is a good illustration of what can happen when we only focus on our worries.
We explode?
No, our worries can get bigger and bigger. Jesus was talking in his Sermon on the Mount to a lot of people who had a lot of worries. Some were hungry and didn't know where their next meal would come from.
I don't like being hungry. That hurts.
And God doesn't like anyone to be hungry or hurting. That's why Jesus really surprised his listeners when he said, "Don't worry about your life and what you will eat or drink. And don't worry about your body and what you will wear. Isn't there more to life than eating? Aren't there more important things for the body than clothes?"
I know the most important thing ever is following Jesus and being in God's kingdom.
Yes, knowing that God loves us and we are following him is the most important thing. Nothing else matters more than that.
I remember another part of Jesus' sermon. Jesus said, put God's kingdom first, do what he wants you to do, and then all those things will be also given to you.
Yes, instead of focusing on our worries and the things we need, we can focus on God and sharing his story with others.
That's awesome. I guess next time I'm worried, I can remember that I can trust God and know he gives us all we need.
Exactly. We can focus on God and trust him instead of only thinking about our worries. All of this is because Jesus teaches us how to live.